Alright, I'm making this video to show you two pieces of new dialogue in the next-gen edition of The Witcher 3, one with Vesemir and one with Anna Henrietta, and even a small fix of dialogue for Triss. By the sound of Geralt in these conversations, it would seem that these lines were recorded when they made the original game, but ended up bugged or simply not available for some reason, and have now been restored.
Your Grace!
Now before I show them to you, let me add a quick disclaimer here and address some of the comments in yesterday's video. I admit that these lines may have been working properly in certain versions of the game, on certain platforms, or in different languages, or maybe there was a mod that I didn't have which fixed them, so it is possible that some of you have heard them before. I, however, haven't, and I can assure you that, at least on the latest patch of the regular PC edition of the game, which I played in the old generation, these lines did not exist. I tested them on multiple saves, both in New Game Plus and regular playthroughs, and they were never there. Meanwhile, on these same saves, they're always here in the next gen. Okay, with that said, let's start with Vesemir. He has a new conversation about the rebuilding of Kaer Morhen. It's available when you talk to him inside the fortress, usually soon before or after lifting the curse from Uma, but obviously before the Battle of Kaer Morhen.
No offense, but why all the construction?
So the roof tiles don't drop on our heads?
Roof tiles usually fall from the roof. You're putting up walls, rebuilding the fortress, for 3 people. Why?
Because I remember how it was, Wolf. Before the massacre. We were 20, and that's just teachers. As for candidates, I can't turn back the clock, I know. But I refuse to just sit and stare at these ruins.
I'm so glad he did not mention any of the craziness we saw on Netflix, although I suppose Nightmare of the Wolf was the best installment from Netflix's Witcher. But anyway, moving on to Anna Henrietta, where she talks about Toussaint's neutrality and the unfortunate conquest of Nilfgaard. This conversation is available after the ending of the expansion, assuming she survived, but also before you begin the ending sequence. You can find her here in the palace, more or less at the same place where you report to her after finding Dettlaff for the first time.
Yes, Geralt?
Wanted to talk. That is, if it's no bother, Your Grace.
Why ever would it be? I'm listening, what is it?
Can't help but wonder how Toussaint manages to stay out of every war. Nilfgaard's next door, yet it never comes to so much as a minor border skirmish, not to mention a full-fledged invasion.
Our knights guard our borders. And my cousin, Emperor Mir Varemris, assured me Toussaint would remain neutral, and has kept his promise. I have oft tried to prevail upon him in no uncertain terms, to tame his belligerence once and for all. Sadly, he has not heeded my pleas. To the world's great sorrow, I fear.
Sorrow indeed, Your Grace.
Finally, the new addition in Triss's dialogue is this option. You now have the ability to ask this question if you have never met Lady Vegelbud. Now, oftentimes, this dialogue should correctly be missing, because you can meet Lady Vegelbud during the Carnal Sins or during the races, but if you have never met her, here's what should happen.
Who's this Ingrid Vegelbud?
The Vegelbuds are one of the city's most influential families. Somewhat atypical, the women have been in charge for generations. Patricia Vegelbud's the current mater familias. Ingrid's her daughter.
Know her personally?
No, seen her, that's all. And I've heard rumors. She's admired in Novigrad for her business acumen, and adored for the lavish balls she throws at the family estate outside town.
Though the balls probably serve her business interests in some way.
And one more thing before I publish this video, they finally fixed Thalar's monocle. If you found it, plus the notes he wrote in the old Pan Lady's house, you can actually return it to him at the 7 Cats without mods. Now this is especially close to my heart because it was likely the very first detail I noticed way back just a few days after playing the game, and then later when I started making these detail-related videos, you can still find ones where I talk about it as a fan theory of sorts. And then a couple of years later, the mod came out and now it's finally official in the next-gen edition.
House of yours in White Orchard? Pretty nice. Thing is, you forgot to clean it out before setting off.
Shite. Thought I'd covered my tracks. How'd you find it?
By accident. It took the form of a frying pan. Long story. Here's your monocle. It's broken but could still be useful.
Okay, before I let you go, here's a quick tiny detail that some of you commented about. Iris, Olgir's sword, has a complete scabbard now. It used to be different, one that did not cover the whole blade, and I suppose the new one makes more sense now. Too bad that we have a similar case with the new Netflix swords, but oh well. So tell me what you think of these pieces of dialogue, even if you've heard them before somehow, and until the next video, stay tuned and be good.